So in releasing the latest crime statistics last week, the Police Minister Bheki Cele said the reporting period of April to June shows that South Africa is brutal and dangerous for women and children. The minister further said these violent crimes are at alarmingly high and unacceptable levels. Let's speak about this now. We're joined by Fina Kgodisang, CEO of Soul City Institute. Kgodisang, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. And the question is being asked. So we have released the crime statistics almost, a week, 2 weeks later. Then what?
Yeah. Good afternoon. And I think you're asking a very relevant question, because every quarter we get these numbers. And it's not the first year we get them. We've been having them for a couple of years now. And so the question is, what do we do with these numbers? What do they tell us? What action do we take as a result of these numbers? They should not just come out as a ritual where we know that after every quarter ends, we will be given numbers. The minister will be telling us how good or how bad each police station is performing. And from there, we don't see any action that is intentional to make sure that when the next quarter comes, we report differently. So I think we need to reflect each time we get these numbers to look at what story are they telling us. They are not just numbers. They are telling a story, and they are telling a very uncomfortable story about the state of our of affairs in our country, in our homes, in our public transport, in our streets, and as citizens as well. What responsibility do we carry in taking action when we get these kind of numbers reported about our own communities? And I don't think we invest in sitting down and reflecting on these numbers. It becomes a quarterly thing that is done, maybe even as a tick box for the minister to say, I have delivered on what is expected of me. And, then so what is the question that we must all answer, not only the minister.
What then would the submission of Soul City be in terms of a recommendation?
Our recommendation would be because these numbers tell you about the police stations where these crimes are reported, and you have communities where they keep coming up. Your inandas are always coming out in these numbers. And the scary trend as well, before I go to what we recommend, the scary trend as well is that because this is so normalized, you see communities where these crimes were not a problem now becoming problems. For example, in this current report that was released in August on the 19th, Northwest and Northern Cape, the numbers are going up in those provinces. So that tells you that because people see that there's no action that is followed, impunity happens. There's this, relaxation around dealing decisively with these numbers. You see communities now also falling into the trap of following the trend because people don't expect, anything to happen. Maybe it's important to do that. We reflect about these numbers a bit, because I don't think people are aware of what we are talking about. And we should, one recommendation would be for people to be informed. Inform yourself. Follow the news. Read. Hear what is being said. Ask questions. And find out, because you don't want to end up as stats. So let me give you the numbers that troubled me when I saw the report. We are told that 9,516 rapes happened, right, in this quarter, April to June 2024. While this is reporting a decrease when we compare to what was reported in the last quarter of this year, it's something we should not even be celebrating, the fact that there is a decrease, because we are looking at reported case numbers. So that tells us that, these were not reported, right? When we see a decrease in the reported, not in the rapes. I think we need to be clear what we are talking about. We are not saying rape has decreased. We are saying the reported number of cases that could be attributed to a lot of things. It could be attributed to the fact that people didn't go and report, or it could be that in that period rape didn't happen. But we don't know, and that's something we need to look at as well. We need to say, when these numbers come, before we even celebrate that there's a decrease, we go and find out, is it a decrease because rape has not happened, or people have not gone out and reported the rape.
Point well taken. Ma'am, if you'd allow me, please, to join you, maybe just from the work that you do, because you are on the ground and you speak to people. Like you said, it's important that we look beyond the numbers and we actually tell the story of the people who are impacted by this. So maybe if you could relay for us, you know, some of the things that people tell you and some of the situations that people are faced with on the ground. You speak of the numbers, talking of a decrease in the rapes, but we don't know why, right? Whether people are simply not reporting it. So what is it that people are telling the Soul City Institute?
People are telling us that there's a general distrust in terms of police. So in fact, and in one of the groups that we have on WhatsApp 2 weeks ago, in the same period, there was a lady who went to report a case at the police station here in Hillbrow. She spent the whole day there. One of the leaders, who is a lawyer, had to go and help in terms of getting that case reported, because the police were not moving. She was being taken from pillar to post, and that's what happened. So the minute women see that each time they go to the police station to report, they are not treated well, they will not go and report, because people avoid secondary victimization, and that's what we are hearing. The other thing is the interference of the families. We hear there's a lot in rural areas where a child, especially a young woman, would report a rape firstly to the parents or to someone in the family that they trust. And instead of going to the police station with that young woman to report the case, the family treats it as a family issue because of the stigma, and the embarrassment that they want to save the family. And then it's dealt with as a family issue that must be kept a secret. So you find that some of the issues that makes these cases not find their way to the police station is that the family themselves do not want these cases being reported through the legal system, but they want to handle the case themselves. And when they do that, they don't really give young women the justice that they deserve, because the perpetrator, sometimes it's asked just to pay damages, or to in the rural areas, they will pay a cow or a goat or whatever, and that's how the case is handled. And so we recommend, because you asked earlier, what do we recommend? We recommend investing time in communities where they engage with the police in understanding the process that must happen. So when you want people to trust the system, you don't wait when they come to the police to report, but there must be investment made in communities where, if you like, we call them workshops, if you like, where police are workshopping communities on what is the process when you get to the police station to report a crime, especially rape, because it's a sensitive crime. What is that process, and what must happen if you don't find the help that you need? If the person sitting behind the desk at that moment you come to report is not helping you, what is your recourse? Who do you go to? What is the next level of escalation?
Fair
so
enough.
That people don't return home and stay without reporting this crime. Also,
Ma'am, just please, if you'd allow me to come in there and just pick up on a point that you made about maybe young girls, especially in rural areas, right? So this phenomenon of ukutwala, which still exists in 2022, or even some families just giving off their children to, sometimes it's older men. Is that, one, illegal, and two, is that a policing issue, right? So how do we tackle that? An age-old, not even sure to call it a tradition, but an age-old thing that still exists in 2022.
It should be a crime. It is a crime. Firstly, we need to also understand that the age of sexual consent in South Africa is 16. And in these kind of cases, usually these young women who are younger than 16 sometimes are married off to older men. So we are promoting statutory rape through some of these cultural practices, because you find that a 15-year-old is married off to a 25-year-old man or even older, you know. So statutory rape there has happened in such a case, and that is prosecutable by law. So we need to know, and education needs to happen in these communities where practices like that are still a norm. And also, it's a violation. How do you force me? Because it's forced marriage. How do you force me into something? The Constitution gives me right to choose. So the choice is then taken away from a young woman who's forced into marriage through Botswana.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's all the time we can afford for today. Mefina Kodisang is the CEO of the Soul City Institute.